All right. It says we're live, but man, I warned you. I'm going to go to my Facebook page real quick to make sure.
I know that
Hang
happens to
tight.
me too.
What's that?
That happens to me too.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like it's got to be yeah, here it is. Okay. It's got to be a setting because what I have to do is it by default says only me. It's like this padlock and only me can view it. And now I just changed it so the public can view it. So hello, public, if you're out there watching this. um, Welcome to the next episode. Maybe this is like a legitimate TV show now. I don't know. Episode,
That's
we'll
right.
call it, of Proximity Live. Our proximity promise is to always bring thought leaders, people doing big things. Maybe they have a different spin that you've never heard before, and putting them front and center in your earbuds, on your computer screens right now. And that is no exception today. We've got the man, the myth, the legend. He's become a friend of mine, Rob Carbuccia. Hope I'm saying it right.
Hey, that works, man. It's Italian.
Is that how you say it?
Well, you could say Carbuccia is the technical way.
Okay.
But me being born in Dominican Republic, so I have Dominican hardware and American software, we say Carbuccia. You know what I mean?
It looks like a chia, not a sia. So whatever. Hey, the guy with the really fun last name to say is here with us today, man. And I've been really excited for this. You and I have masterminded behind the scenes on some things and looking at doing some big stuff potentially together. But I can't hoard all that for myself. People deserve to hear from you, and I want my audience to get to know you, man. So thanks for being here today.
Nah, hey, listen, man. I totally appreciate it. And like we talked before, I'm here to be an open book, to share anything and everything that I know has inspired me and has inspired the agents that I work with and my coaching clients to be able to be the best version of themselves. Because I think, Jake, once we took this massive break for 2 years, right, where everybody now stayed at home, there was a great like awareness that started to come to people, where people started to shift in their values. They started to shift on their perspectives. Things that were important to them before were no longer important to them now. So right now, I think that people don't talk about it enough, that we are going through a massive transition, and we're still undergoing a massive transition internally, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I'm seeing that with my clients, because sometimes my clients wake up in the morning and they're like, dude, what am I doing? Why am I doing all this? These are real people, right? So that's whatever it is that you guys need, whatever your audience needs. I hope definitely people put some comments in the chat, and drop any questions in the chat, because this is our time to let's have some real talk today.
That's it. Yeah, we're going to get into some of that, and I don't want to steal your thunder. I'm going to ask that you just kind of let everybody know what your story is, what your background is, what you've achieved, what you're focused on today. Obviously, you're a master practitioner with NLP, so we're going to be hitting on some of that stuff here in just a few. But why don't you do that? Just give us a quick rundown of your story, background, achievements. Who are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, you guys know my name, Rob Carbuccia, and I've been in the real estate industry for 20 years. But prior to real estate, man, I was managing multi units of FedEx offices in Manhattan. I opened up the Staten Island FedEx office, a little history right there. And but in my 20 years of real estate, I've gone anywhere from being a single agent where I was listing 52 homes a year and then got up to 100 homes per year. I had a team where we were doing about 225 transactions per year. And a lot of this was loss mitigation, short sales, loan modifications, and, in combination. So I've been through those busy years. And then after that, I got to that point where I said, you know what, my passion is really helping people and supporting people, because real estate just became, for me personally, more of a challenge than anything. It was just so many things going on. And where I was in my life at that moment in time, with family, with friends, just me personally, it's like, when you hit that point in your life where you start to sort of reevaluate things, I said, I want to focus on coaching. So during my time as a real estate agent, much of my skills came from neuro-linguistic programming. And then I got into some transformational coaching. I signed up for some coaching programs. I got some help around my own life. And I focused on helping other agents so that this way they can have a more fulfilled life, because I think that's what was happening for me. And as I got more into NLP, I started to realize why my success was so great. It was because of all the underlying trainings that came from it. And then from there, I pursued being a team leader for Keller Williams in Fort Lauderdale. So I was called down from New York to Fort Lauderdale back in 2017, and ran the office all the way through COVID. And once I stepped down from that position, I said, you know what, I need to go back to my passion, which is coaching and training. I got refocused on getting more certifications. I got a trainer's trainer certification in NLP, where I certify people up to a mastery level. And then I'm also 2 years into master trainer, NLP master trainer program. So that means that you're certifying trainers. And there's only about 65, 70 master trainers worldwide. So this is a topic and a trade that I am passionate about. And I see the impact it's had on people and how it's had an impact on me. And I just want to share the love.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, we're going to get more into that here in just a second, because you shared a story with me about one of the clients, I believe, that you're working with. And actually, let's go there now. Who cares? The difference that what you do working on the mindset, using the NLP, tactics, if you will, she just exploded her business. What was it? You just told me she was like quadrupled her business, or you know what I'm referencing recently?
Yeah,
on
sure.
call? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Tell that.
Yeah.
Repeat that story if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's several people that I've seen this happen with, which is why I've sort of dove into it, where I said to myself, you know what, I need to focus on doing more breakthrough coaching.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing people's production not double, but triple and quadruple. And what it was is, it's a great agent I was working with. I had recruited her from an open house at one point in time. And as this person has massive talent, here's the one thing. There's a lot of people right now that have great, great, great talent, but they don't realize what is it that's keeping them from moving forward, right? It's like they're working and working and working and not producing the results that they know that they should get, or they know that they deserve to get based on the effort that they're putting into it. And it's funny, as her and I sat down and we went through more of a historical background in terms of what her journey has been, where the pitfalls were, where the points in life were, right? Without getting into too much detail, we were able to tease out the things that were creating limiting beliefs. We were able to tease out the things that were creating roadblocks in terms of this person just being, by all means, balls to the wall, right? Excuse the terminology, but it's just like, I'm just going for it no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. And once we released those limiting beliefs, once we discovered that there was a root cause to this problem and we eliminated it using NLP techniques, then the person was able to just move forward without any inhibition, without any restrictions, and just be like, you know what, this is my life. I'm going to fucking crank it out. And she put the effort and the time into it. And dude, she, even up until today, bro, she's still doing close to 350 to 400,000 in GCI. And now it's about buying investment property. And this is per year. She's still consistently coming in the top, the top 10% or top 5% within her market center at KW. And this was somebody who, when I met, they were doing about 5 million in sales volume, and they were a buyer's agent. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it happened over a period of a year and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's there's definitely a seasoning period, but it started it all. And that's just one person out of many agents that I've worked with, and even small business owners.
Let's unpack that maybe a little bit further. So I know I do in my coaching sessions. I'm no NLP master practitioner like you. And yet I think if we observe the patterns that exist, do you see what I see, where most people default, and we're probably guilty too, but most people default to the what or the how? Like, just tell me what to do, tell me what to say it, tell me how to do it, all the tactical warfare. And they rarely go up here first, like really stemming to the programming and things that NLP really dives into. Maybe could you speak to what you often see with these limiting beliefs, that when somebody's able to deal with the head junk, the talent's always been there. the knowledge of how to do something's always been there, but we got to clear this up first.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm glad you brought this up because I was even last night, I was thinking about this. I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? And here's the one thing that came to my mind, bro, is two words: values and beliefs, right? Imagine you and all your homeboys, you and all your friends, you guys all buy, bicycles, right? Because you guys are going to go on a cross-country trip, or you're going to go drive, riding your bike for 25 miles. Just imagine this story, right? And everybody that's watching this, I want you to dive into the story because it's going to all come together soon. And every single person buys a 10-speed bicycle, right? But then out of the 6 people, that bought the bicycle, there was a malfunction in terms of the printed manual on how to use the bicycle. They only learned how to use 3 to 4 speeds, but yet the other 3 to 4 kids, they went ahead and got the full manual. And they said, oh man, you know what? Whenever I'm going up a hill, it's time for me to downshift, right? Or whenever I'm riding on this type of terrain, I can use this feature on the bicycle. And it's just imagine that. So here you have like 5 or 6 kids that are struggling with the same tools and the same equipment that all the other kids have. And they're working their asses off. And yet they're not getting the same results. And then they're wondering to themselves, what is it that's going on with the other kids? How come they're getting so much further away? I mean, how much further, faster, and smoother? And it's because they have information. Key thing, they have information that the other people don't have. They have tools and strategies that everyone else doesn't have. So basically, their belief system is very different than everyone else's belief system. And if you look at different models that are out there, the further up in your values and belief systems you get in terms of how you improve yourself, how you enhance your mindset, then the easier life becomes for you because you focus on the things that are more important and less on the things that just don't matter.
Right.
But that comes from the instruction manual. So when you look at NLP is a body of work. And what we do is we tease out all the things from that body of work, all the tools that we have, and we say, okay, you know what? This person, their values and beliefs are stuck in this mode, which is it's like a do or die mentality. It's like, I'm only in it for the money mentality, right? That's what we call value levels 3, where you have the other agent that is a value levels 4, for example. And that person's like, you know what? I'm just going to work my ass off, and one day things will magically happen for me. Okay. Because they're sacrificed now for a reward later. Right. And then you have your value levels 5, which is your entrepreneur business owner. And that dude or woman, they're like, you know what? I don't mind sending out 200 blind text messages because I know the numbers, right? Here's the numbers. I send out 200, I get 10 back, I convert 3. I just got 3 deals. So they're not even attached to all this, weirdness that comes around just being aggressive in business because their values and their beliefs are at a different state. Does that make sense? I kind of try to bring it all into something very simple, but that's what's holding us back. That's the reality. And the other thing about it too is the people that we surround ourselves with, some of them are of a lower value and of a lower belief system than we are, because oftentimes if we're business owners, then we're trying to help the other man up to get to where we are. But we don't recognize that person has to decide on their own to step up and to get to where we are. We can't do anything for them. So all these little things, dude, I know it sounds very mental. We're getting very intellectual here. But here's the reality. They matter because they consume time and they consume energy and keep us from moving forward as quickly as we know we can.
Right.
So,
and maybe there's some overlap here, but shout out to Kit Fusil. She's a co-founder of our Leadership and Coaching Academy. She talks a lot about saboteurs. So are you familiar with the saboteurs, energy level leadership?
A little bit. I mean, I don't know if it falls in line with the energy bus type of, mentality, but saboteurs, there's a ton of saboteurs out there that I can imagine.
Yeah, it's like the different levels, like you're saying, level 3, level 4. It's probably similar, and yet like anything called something different. Just didn't know. before we get too heavy into this, remind everybody again, if they're listening to this, maybe they're like NL what? LMNOP? What is NLP stand for?
Right.
And what do leaders, entrepreneurs, the business owners, the people watching this largely right now need to do to keep headstrong in today's climate, need a strong head on their shoulders? So first, what is it? And any advice you'd give to the entrepreneur out there to keep this thing healthy?
Yeah, definitely. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, right? It involves the mind, which is neuro, and linguistic, language, and then programming. So the main premise of it is our minds are being programmed every single day. Just like you can program a computer, right? And program it to carry out activities and carry out actions. Our mind is just as programmable. Well, here's the cool thing about it is that with NLP, this is the programming language to be able to deprogram and reprogram things the way you want it to be. So it's a very, very powerful scripting language. If I want to keep it simple for anybody out there, for some of the old people, we used to use DOS, as a programming language. So that's where NLP is. It's several tools that help you to reprogram the mindset and help you to have a higher level of success. And then for entrepreneurs and business owners, here's one thing that I've noticed is that many of them are stuck in a value level mindset of a value level 3, which is a dictatorship mentality rather than a leadership mentality. And unless they focus on becoming more flexible, unless they focus on the bigger picture and casting the vision as the CEOs of their company, then they're just going to be stuck being managers versus being leaders. And when you're stuck being a manager, you're in the forest and you can't see the trees, right? And as a leader, you have to step back and see the entire plane. You have to see everything from above, like as if you're the GPS and you're looking at everything around you for a person to lead their company. So I think what happens is a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders, people where if they're running teams or if they're running companies, they're so into their business that they never take a time or a chance to step back and see the bigger picture.
Preaching. Yeah, that's well, first of all, what I think I heard you say, what I didn't want to skip over too quickly there is people are in more control of their programming, their thoughts, their belief systems than maybe they care to admit. You can actually re-hardwire what goes on up here if you're intentional, NLP being one of those techniques and tools. And I know in the coaching space, we use coaching models like PTFAR, PTFAR. My programming, which is what you're talking about, leads to my thoughts. My thoughts leads to my feelings. My feelings leads to my actions. And then my actions leads to my results. PTFAR. Bingo. Coaching hack 101, let the cat out of the bag, even though we would love your business, right? Is you just reverse engineer that order. So how many agents and leaders do we have coming to us, Rob, that I'm not getting the result I desire? Well, what do you and I do? We just reverse the order. Okay, so tell me about the actions you're taking.
Right.
Well, lead generation, I'm not really. Okay, so F, what are your feelings towards that activity? What are the thoughts that generated that feeling? And how did you even adopt that programming in the first place? Is that fair to say? Is that a tool, an easy way to kind of go around the wheel here?
100%. And I love that you mentioned that, because here's the thing. Whenever the programming and the thoughts are there that are not the right programming and not the right thoughts. And again, it's not that there's a good or bad or a right or wrong. It's just what's serving you and what doesn't serve you, right? So if you have thoughts and programming that doesn't serve you, then what do you think your actions are going to be? What do you think your feelings are going to be? What do you think your results are going to be? And what's happening is that many real estate agents and unfortunately many coaches who may not be trained like you and I are in terms of understanding that there's a programming thing going on. Right. They're just feeding practicals. They're just feeding the manual. They're just feeding the plays. You know what I mean? It's like if you've ever played football before, if you ever played any sports before, you know that if you have a player on the team and you're telling them what to do and they're not doing it and they're going to the right when they should have gone to the left, it's because of the fact that there's something going on in their mindset. It's like, boy, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? It's like, That's what a coach says.
Yes.
He says, what were you thinking? Right. And all of us, dude, right now, dude, I'm telling you, bro, the world is shifting big time. It's shifting big time. If people don't start paying attention to their thinking more now than ever, they will be left behind. They will be left behind. And real estate agents and business owners will be finding themselves having to reinvent themselves one more time through this next cycle that we're coming into. So you're absolutely right, man. Absolutely
we become zombies. We just take on the belief system or thoughts of others and never think to challenge. Is that really true? I mean, shout out to, again, one of my mentors, Nick, who talks about this all the time. He's taught and spoken like 80 something different countries. He says this all the time. And he always asks when he's talking about this similar subject matter, all right, everybody, fill in the blank for me. Money doesn't grow on, and in whatever country, whatever language, they always shout it out. Okay, next one. Money is the root of all evil.
Right.
That's the programming. That's
right.
the shit. That's the stuff we adopt and never say, hang on, time out.
Right.
Is that even true? Where did I even get that thought in the first place? Real estate agents out there, you're not lead generating because you're so convinced it's slimy and salesy and that your friends don't want to hear from you. Well, where did that come from? Maybe it came from a day when your mind was immature to even ward off this stuff because you were 16 years old, you had a bad day, you accidentally answered the phone at your parents' house and it was a telemarketer. And you slam that phone saying, how disgusting and annoying was that person? And now, since then, you've adopted the fact that phone calls equals telemarketing equals sales equals bad.
Bingo.
Like, what the hell?
Dude. Yeah, dude. And we don't realize that we're adopting this program. You know, when I was a little kid, I was like 5, 6 years old. You know, my mom would be at her neighbor's house and I would hear somebody knocking at the door, you know, and then I would look. And it was like, you see these people with these big books and all this other stuff. They were trying to sell encyclopedias, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I would get scared. It's the same principle, right? So that in our mind is, well, Rob, how come you don't go door knocking? Let's say, for example, oh, because I didn't like it when somebody was knocking on my door.
That's right. If you're watching this right now and you can relate, drop us a comment below. Let us know, what is a limiting belief? What's a thought or a program you can say right now, you know, I probably adopted that from somewhere and I don't even know where, but I need to ask and challenge, is that even true? Let us know in the comments right now if anything here is speaking to you. But Rob, I want to bring it back because you've a couple of times now, you shot a couple flares over our heads, whether you knew it or not. You're talking to the leaders, the business owners, entrepreneurs out there. And a question I want to ask you is, in this changing market, the way you've suggested a couple times now, what would you say are maybe 2 or 3 things that today's leaders need to be most mindful of so they're relevant, I guess, and effective in the future?
Well, I think the 2 or 3 things that leaders would need to be mindful of, obviously, right, to be relevant in the future is, number one, they need to realize that if they're holding on to old belief systems, you can't get to a new belief system unless you unsubscribe and let go of some old belief systems. Yeah. Right. It's like anything else. I always give this example. If you're trying to climb up a tree, you know, so here you are climbing up a tree, what they're holding on to another branch, you know, so it's like, how are you going to get to the top if you keep holding on to the branch below you? So you've got to let go of the branch. So for any leader that's watching right now, and as you and I talked about before, all of us, we have the responsibility of leadership because we're an example for someone else. Either we're influencing people or people are influencing us. So as real estate agents, business owners, entrepreneurs, we are in the business of influence. That's it. Bottom line. So if we're going to be better influencers, whatever belief values and values you have now that no longer support you, then it's time to let go of the old belief system, let go of the old value system, and start focusing on things that will support you so that you can move ahead a whole lot faster, right? That the same equivalency to that, Jake, would be shifting gears. You know, whenever a car is operating in a low gear, whenever a bicycle is operating in a low gear, it's burning more fuel.
Right.
And when it burns more fuel, eventually it burns out. The engine fails. The person gets exhausted. Okay. But the moment you shift into a higher gear, then you use the momentum of the vehicle. You use the momentum of the bicycle. You use the momentum of everything, and you go faster. And what's interesting is that here's the one thing that I'll just make it real concise. Here's a secret, dude. Less is more.
Mm.
Less is
Simplicity
more.
skills, right?
Simplicity. So we don't have to work as hard as we think we need to. We just need to focus on the right activities. You know?
You know, this is what I love about you and a lot of the people that you and I run with is the best coaches, the best leaders speak oftentimes through the form of stories and analogies because we can connect with common things. And that's what you've done so many times a day, whether it's a bicycle gear or I love what you just said. In fact, it makes me think I'm a sports guy. Come on. You can't steal second base with keeping your foot on first base. It's really what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. Let me go back then, just peck at that a little further. So if I'm hearing that, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. I get that. Yes. Who I surround myself with matters. But what are some other ways? How do I go from gear 3 to gear 4? You know, how would somebody practically go about adopting a new belief system, changing their way of thinking to get to that? I'm sorry to kind of be cliche here, but next level.
Right. To get to the next level. I think unless obviously they hire you and I as coaches, then a little homework that they can do at home is basically ask themselves what's working and what's not working. I think that's the simplest way to look at it, bro.
Yeah.
You know, what is it about 2023 that worked for me and my business? And don't look, you can look at it from a whole, the last 10 months, but I would chunk it down to what is a great week for Rob Carbuccia? What is a great week for Jake? Okay. A great week looks like, you know what? Every morning you went for a walk. For example, you took time to journal on a Sunday morning, or you took time to journal on a day of the week. You rested when you needed to rest. You, instead of binge watching one of the days, you decided to read a book. And you realize that we can have great weeks. So those are the things that maybe work for us mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We did more meditation, whatever. What worked for us in our business? What was the best week that we ever had in our business in 2023? We had people calling us. We had maybe, let's say, for example, we were lead generating and somebody said, hey, come and list my house. Or somebody said, I'm looking to purchase. So let's focus on that. What were the things that we did? Who were we being during that week that worked? And then now turn that into your model, turn that into your minimum standard. And then the things that weren't working, put those to the side. Obviously, write them down, acknowledge them, because that's feedback, right? And feedback is neither good or bad, positive or negative. It's just information that we're receiving.
Right.
So we take that feedback and we say, let's do much less of the things that didn't work for us this year. And let's focus on the things that worked really well. Mm-hmm. And I think if everybody just takes the time to do that, takes the time to write it down, go away from your family, go away from your friends, go to a nice private place and just reflect now, because this business is a 90-day cycle. So whatever it is that we're doing now, we are literally just prepping for 2024. Okay. So take the time, do it. And if we do that, then focus on the things that are working. And that's the first part. And then the second part is like, guys, I really, my hope and prayer for every real estate agent, every business owner that's watching, everybody that's watching this right now, is understand that somebody has done it better. Somebody has done it bigger. Somebody has experience, and it's okay to invest in that person to teach you, right, to avoid the pitfalls. You know what that's called? That's called a shortcut, right? Yeah. It's called a cheat code, yeah, right? I played games when I was growing up, video games. And when I got frustrated with a video game like Zelda or something like that, dude, to get a cheat code so I could get more weapons, I thought that was like
Contra. Wasn't it Contra? Like up, down, left,
Contra?
right, left, right.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? Just Just get the cheat codes, man. And when you hire a coach, when you hire a trainer, you're getting all the cheat codes from all their clients, from all the people they're coaching, everything. I mean, it just learn from our mistakes and the mistakes of other people so that you can get ahead faster. So that's the second thing I would just say, man.
Yeah. I love everything you're saying, man. You're so spot on. And in my opinion, my view, and to add to that, just what you said again in sports lingo, I'm all about watching and studying game film. And that's what you're saying. Where's that quiet space? Where are you pausing? Life is moving a million miles an hour. When are you saying time out? Let me go in the war room. Let me put on the game film and actually study it. What's working? What's not working? What in-game adjustments do I need to make? That's oftentimes where here pretty soon we're getting ready to watch the Olympic people, the best elite athletes in the world. You think for a minute that they're just getting on the balance beam or getting out on the field, just doing whatever they think works. I'll bet they spend just as much time that you don't see them, especially every 4 years, studying film, making those little tweaks, that end up making all the difference in the world to the point of an elite champion. And I think it was Jeff at our recent event. He said, I've been in the rooms with millionaires and billionaires. And he said, Jake, you know what I learned as I'm sitting, like, what am I doing here? How could I get in this room? He said, what I learned was they're actually not too different from us. And he said, what I ended up realizing is oftentimes they just make little tweaks, nothing major, but just little tweaks because they're willing to pause and study and make those in-game adjustments where everybody else is just moving a million miles an hour. Has that been your experience as well?
Oh yeah, 100%, man, 100%. And here's the thing that's cool about that. It's I'll share with you guys a brief story. I love playing golf, right? I don't play it as often as I used to, but when I first started playing golf, man, my friends would laugh at me, bro, because every time I hit the ball, I would slice it all the way to the right. I mean, it was instantly, they look at me, it's like, Rob, man, you're a big dude, you got strength, you're gonna hit that ball. I would hit it and it would slice all the way to the right. And then one day I jumped on Groupon or something and I said, you know what, let me get myself, see if there's any lessons. Again, going back to coaching. Yeah. And there was a discount Groupon on golf lessons with a PGA Pro, right? And it cost me $100. Okay. That was Groupon for $100. So you can only imagine how much I would have paid for this person retail price. Yeah. Right. I go to the golf course, or actually the driving range. And when I sit there, I'm expecting that this person is going to teach me techniques, right? That's what I'm expecting. But instead, he says, here's a bucket of balls. Go ahead and start hitting. And he stands right behind me. And he sits there and he just watches me. And he watches me. And then he says, okay, stop. And I said, okay. So now the club face, in my mind, I have it facing this way, right? Because I'm thinking I'm hitting the ball forward. And dude, he told me to turn the club face almost like this. Right. And I'm like, bro, if I hit the golf club like that, I'm going to send it all the way to the left. And he says, no worries. Just turn it in. Ever since that day, Jake, I've been able to hit the ball straight.
So you overcompensated for...
I overcompensated.
Yeah. little tweak.
It was a small tweak.
Little tweak, yeah.
Little tweak. And what did that tweak do to my life? Dude, people invited me out to golf outings. I got a chance to hang out with my friends again. I got a chance to play on Bethpage Black out in Bethpage, Long Island, which is like each hole is like 400 yards. You know what I mean? It's like, because they knew that I wasn't going to be left behind.
Right.
Little tweak.
There's a lesson there somewhere. I love it. So, well, let's maybe keep with that theme here. We doing okay on time? You good? For a little bit, brother. A couple more. Okay.
I'm here with you, man.
So, all right. So let's talk about that. There's a lot of, in our space, you're in real estate, coach a lot of leaders as well. There's a lot of people struggling, whether they want to admit it or not. There's a lot of people struggling. So let's say I'm a leader watching this right now, and I'm bumping my head against this, let's call it artificial ceiling, right? I'm just stuck. What are maybe some steps or ideas that they can take to break through this artificial ceiling and continue to build that scalable business? Like, who do they need to become almost?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Hey, listen, I heard a broker say it one time before that they said, Rob, who is really our competition, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're competing in a way. We're competing in this market. You have other agents that are taking more market share than others, right? So, and she mentioned to me, Rob, who's the real competition? And I said, well, I mean, all the other agents out there in the market. She says, well, the reality is it's only the top 10%. So if we only focus on looking at the top 10% as our competition and we focus on modeling the top 10%, then guess what's going to happen? We're going to become like the top 10% or even the top 20%, because so many real estate agents right now, so many people that are struggling in business or whatever industry you're in their minds, they're thinking, oh my God, it's such a saturated market. Every single week, more and more real estate agents are joining the office, or every single week somebody's getting their real estate license. Well, here's the thing: you're not competing against them. You're only competing against the ones that are already making it work, the ones that are already making it happen. And here's the beauty: there's a technique in NLP called modeling. If you just model those people, what do they do for entertainment? I'm telling you, what do they do for entertainment? What do they do on a personal level? Do they meditate? Do they attend certain workshops? Do they script practice and role play? What is it that they're doing? Are they investing money in postcards? Are they investing money in flyers? Are they just model whatever it is that's already working from those people? And I guarantee you that is the fastest way for anybody to get up to that point and to shift their business, because now that you're modeling them, then you can make adjustments. Then you could tweak it and make it better. But you have to have a baseline to start with.
It's so good, because you and I both know, and this comes up time and time again, let's take these major events or conferences and things that require an investment of time and money to get to. Some may say, well, they're a top agent, so of course they can attend, they can afford that. That's one school of thought. Or is it they're a top agent because they attend these things, right? And same is true with your work and mine. You look around you, a lot of the top agents, top brokers, they have a coach. They understand what you said earlier, that somebody's been there before me. I'm not just getting 30 minutes a week or whatever with Rob. I am getting Rob every book he's ever read, every conversation he's ever had. I'm now exposed to Rob's network of people. You're getting this whole thing, right? And that's what a lot of the top producers, at least that I've seen, understand.
No, absolutely. They totally. And I started from the beginning like everyone else. My first year of real estate, dude, I sold one house. Every time I teach, every time I do a training, dude, I made $16,000 my first year of real estate, while everybody else that was maybe brand new real estate, they were selling 10 houses, 15 houses. And I'm like, why am I such a failure? That was my thought process until I got the right coach. And then once I got the right coach, she shifted things in one conversation, dude. And the one conversation she had with me was, and this was on a Tuesday: hey, Rob, if you do not take a listing by this Friday, you will lose your real estate license.
Okay.
And that was it. And dude, I took a listing by that Friday. And then the next week, the same conversation: if you do not take a listing this week, you will lose your real estate license. Boom. So I took another listing. So go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to ask, so if I'm, again, watching this, listening to this right now, a lot of what you're saying, it's true. I get it. How do I get myself to that point with focus? I've had so many, this week alone, Rob, I've had so many conversations, probably much like you, around time management, priority management, time blocking, whatever coin term you want to give it. So how do I take it from, I logically understand what Rob or Jake is saying, and then it shows up in my day-to-day focused activities? How do you do it? Any advice for that?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, is what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
I think if we all focus on what's working and what's not working, what's taking energy from us, what's giving us energy, what takes energy, what gives energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have things that we're doing, activities that just don't give us energy.
Yeah.
I'd say just get a piece of paper, right? I'm a big Post-it note dude. So
Yeah.
it's funny. It's like all you gotta do, go on Amazon, right? And you can buy a whole box of these Post-it notes, right? This is how you and I do our mastermind.
I'm
Right?
not here, but I'm good
Right?
at like whiteboards or those bad boys.
Whiteboards, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I go through those things like crazy. And on the left-hand side, what works? Right-hand side, what doesn't work? Left-hand side, what gives me energy?
Yeah.
What doesn't give me energy? You know, and if we just do that, dude, and then the things that don't give us energy, that's the stuff we're going to outsource. That's the thing that we're going to ask ourselves, can we still grow a business without doing those things that don't give us energy?
That's good.
You know, and go from there. I think that's a great starting point for some of us that are like self-starters and we're trying to go at it alone. And then the next thing I would say is just listen to what Jake's saying, man. Jake's been around for a long time.
I'm here learning from you, dude. And you know it's going to be, so I'm teasing a little bit, but Rob and I had a Zoom probably a couple weeks ago by now. He knows my love language. It's like, you know it's going to be a good Zoom when you first log into it. Dude's standing up right in front of his big whiteboard with a marker in his hand. I was like, let's go, Rob.
Let's do this, baby. Let's do this.
So, well, that actually answers one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is, you don't have to repeat your answer unless you have something else to add, but how you advise leaders, agents, when it comes to like maximizing their strengths, and I'll say maybe balancing their weaknesses. And you just kind of hit on that there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the maximizing the strengths is if everyone just goes back, rewatch this training at least 3 to 4 times. I highly recommend people just to rewatch this 3, 4, even 5 times, share it with other people, mastermind around this training, because you and I are giving information to people that our coaching clients pay thousands of dollars for, and we're giving it to them. I don't know if you charge people for this or if they're watching this for free, but we're giving out the golden nuggets. Do the activities that we're teaching in this video right now. Do the activities that we're doing right now in this training, and then see what you come up with. And that I think will help us to maximize our energy, maximize our activity, maximize our production.
Love that.
You know.
So none of this was rehearsed. I didn't send him questions in advance. We always like to keep these conversational. So I'm putting you on the spot with my next question. We're almost done. I know we're both busy guys, but do you have any questions that you often use to encourage deep thought that maybe you frequently ask your team, you frequently ask some of your clients? Like, is there any like zinger questions that you wouldn't mind sharing, 1 or 2 right now that are just like, boom, take that, go marinate on it?
Oh man. I mean, you know what? I think this question has always stuck with me because my mentors have always shared this with me, which is, you know, what's the one thing that we can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary, right?
That's a good one.
You know, and that's like, you know, I think we all know it's from the One Thing book by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best questions that I say to people. And I even still ask myself that question till today. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So what's the one thing I can do around my coaching program such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
Don't you think too, and maybe this is NLP somewhere, you tell me, would you say there's also a value to continuing that question and doing a switch cost? What's the cost? What's at stake if I don't do that thing that I just came up with? Like the pain pleasure kind of juggle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what will happen if I don't change? What won't happen? What wouldn't happen? Right. And I think that here's the one thing is that the pain part, I think right now it drives everybody. And earlier you asked a question that what happens when we hit that ceiling,
right?
In terms of us breaking through. There is you have you have two things going on in life. People can be driven by pain or pleasure, right? And anybody that's watching that has children, or even go back to when you were a young adult yourself, how serious did you take your parents when they said they're going to spank you and you're like 10 or 12 years old, or 14 years old, or even 16 years old,
Right.
right? It used to work really well when the kids were like 2,
Right.
1, 3 years old. Oh, you're going to get a timeout, right? Because the pain of losing out on that toy, the pain of losing out the time with being with your friends, right? That was painful enough to cause a person, to get into action, right? That's called an away strategy. But as we get older, dude, we become numb to the pain unconsciously. And then we start focusing on, that just doesn't inspire me anymore. So guess what? That means you have to switch into a towards strategy. So what is it that gives you pleasure? And when you focus on moving towards a goal, moving towards a vision that you've always wanted, that will give you the energy to break through.
That's good.
So that's
good.
A way strategy versus a towards strategy. So what will you get by lead generating every single day?
Right.
What will your family get? What vacations will you get to have? How much more time will you have by investing 3 hours per day and just looking for that one person? Because Jake, you and I know the numbers, brother. Yeah. Let's say if a person sets up one appointment per day, that's 5 per week, 20 per month. Okay. So they got 20 appointments per month and they're untrained and they're just winging it and they only convert 50%. Dude, that's 10 listings in 1 month, or right. 10 transactions in 1 month, 120 transactions. Let's say they're not even just winging it and they just stink, man. They're like the bench warmers, right? Yeah. They're still trying. They're the water boy, for example, right? And they convert at a 25%. That's still 5 transactions per month, 60 per year.
Okay.
And yeah, you get what I mean? So it's like,
oh darn.
Yeah, right. So it's like, man, even if you're the water boy, even if you're like not even playing, and I love the water boys out there. I heard that the Miami Dolphins coach used to be a water boy, right? I think that was
really?
his first job. Yeah, and they had like a crushing game like 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately,
70 points or something. Yeah,
70 points. But that's the coach was somebody who started back there. So long story short, it's like just focus on that one appointment per day, or focus on the 3 appointments per week. That's it. That's 12 per month.
Yeah,
good.
Man, before I forget to ask, I want to make sure how if I mean, it's right here on social media. Be social. It's social media. It's a chance to be social, connect, talk to people. Hello. How can people get in touch with you? If they want to explore just getting to know you as an amazing human being and a mentor, all the way down to what the heck is NLP? How can I get certified through you? How can you become my coach? How can people get in touch with you?
I would say, hey, listen, if somebody wants to just shoot me a quick message, they can email me, robert@robscoaching.com, robscoaching.com. Okay. If somebody is interested in exploring the conversation of values and beliefs, there's an assessment that I do with people that shows them where they are now in their values and in their belief system. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I give them feedback on how to switch and get up to the next value and belief system. And for that, they can just go to booking.transform.us, transform.us. So booking.transform.us. And when you go there, you'll see the link, value levels assessment. And I'll show the person, this is where you are in your values. This is where you are in your beliefs. And these are the things that are holding you back. Do you want to shift this? And then we get into some conversation around shifting it.
Cool. Rob, if you would, maybe when we're done with this, if you want to drop that in the comment section, that way on the post, then everybody can have that information. Just last question, just an open-ended one, I guess. Any last bits of advice or nuggets, or hacks on how to protect our mindset so we can be bigger, better, badder leaders, especially navigating through these shark-infested bloody waters that we're in right now?
Well, here's my biggest advice is number one, do the exercise. What works, what doesn't work, what gives me energy, what takes energy from me. And then from there, be willing to make the tough decisions and let go of the things that are taking energy away from us. And here's the thing, if those things are taking energy away from you, then it shouldn't be a tough decision. It should be an easy decision. It should be something that's like, yeah, when that person calls, I'm not answering the phone.
Wow.
Because they just consume tons of energy from me. Or this is the stuff that's consuming my energy. It could be a food, it could be a location, it could be a place, person, place, thing, whatever it is. Identify it, because that's the first step that I think everyone should take. Those are the things that I would leave you with and leave the audience with.
Rob, man, I've gotten to know you, and I look forward to continuing that. But I'm beyond grateful for your time. I know the audience as well, people watching and going to watch the replay. So first off, thank you. And I know the work you do. I know what you charge for it. If anybody takes just one nugget away from this and acts on it the way you're saying, this is literally about $5,000 worth of value right here that Rob just gave you. No joke. Okay. So if you wrinkle your nose at that, talk to Rob, because you got some junk in the trunk up here that he can work with you on. All right. We got to raise your financial thermostat. But
that's right.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So you didn't have to do this. I called in a favor, and I hope you get what you needed to out of this as well, man. But thank you. I'm always here if you need anything in return, but we're very grateful.
Same here, man. And I'd love to see the questions and the comments. I'd love to see what people's feedback are. I've noticed that when people put comments, bro, under the videos and they ask questions, it helps them to remember, it helps them to process their learnings. That's something that I would love to be able to see, so that this way we can be able to support each other and support your audience as well too. Thank you.
100%. So guys, take advantage, drop the comments. I will personally respond. I'm sure Rob would as well, but you got to act. You got to ask the questions, drop the comments of what you took away, what your aha moments were. That's the least we can do to pay it forward and thank him for his time, that you actually took something away from this. So please see to the comment section. All right. Man, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for being on Proximity Live with me. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.